Pregame.com.
Friday night NBA action. We're going to go ESPN. The LA Clippers go to the Phoenix Suns. Scott, this is an interesting game. I mean, Phoenix is a team not the elite of the NBA by any stretch of the imagination, but we've got the Clippers. They're a team on the rise. They're in first place in their division and trying to hold off the Lakers. I'm projecting the line here. We're taping on Wednesday, and this game's being played on Friday. And to complicate things a little more in our handicap and projecting the lines, both teams play on Thursday night. So that can have a factor on the line. I'm projecting Clippers will be like a 3-point favorite in this game, maybe 3.5. What are your thoughts on this one heading into Friday night?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say something. I've been listening all over national, local radio, Southern California radio, and they've been really ripping Jerry Buss's kid. Of course, the smartest of the Buss family is Jeannie, and she's out there with Phil Jackson and really has nothing to do with what's going on with the Lakers right now. But would we be saying the same thing right now if CP3, if that trade went through with Chris Paul to the Lakers and it wasn't, squashed by by David Stern? Here he is with the Clippers. He's ratcheted this team's level of play up a little bit. But having said that, now they've dropped 3 of their last 4, including Tuesday night's kind of ugly loss to the T-Wolves. They've also dropped 4 in a row against the spread. So, yeah, when I'm looking at the LA Clippers, I mean, every team's going to go through a little bit of a funk throughout the season. This team is pretty new as far as the key parts playing together, so you knew that time would come. They do play Sacramento on Thursday night in Sacramento. And, of course, the Kings have had this little bump in their game because of this tentative agreement to keep the team in Sacramento and build that new arena. And it was already, maybe not this year so much, but it's so many times we've seen it when it was called Arco Arena, those fans making it a collegiate atmosphere. So that Thursday night game in Sacramento, that could get a little bit iffy for the LA Clippers if they don't get back on their game. But yeah, as I approach this game and start to look into it, I'm looking at what caused this team to all of a sudden drop 3 out of 4 going into Thursday, to lose 4 straight against the spread. It basically comes down to defense. If you look at before those last 4 games, this Clippers team had allowed just 82.8 points per game in their previous 5 games. They were playing great on the defensive end, and for the most part for the season were playing well on the defensive end. But in those last 4 games, they've allowed exactly 20 points more per game than they were in the previous 5, giving up 102.8 a game. They're giving up 45% shooting overall, and those teams are hitting 38.5% from behind the arc. And the Clippers, by the way, in those last several games are hitting 33% of their three-pointers. If you break it down, if those were overall season numbers produced by the LA Clippers, 102.8 points per game allowed would be dead last in the NBA. The fact that 38.5% from area code 3, that would be dead last in the NBA. The 45% that they've given up overall would be about 20th in the league, and their own three-point shooting would be 18th in the league. So all of a sudden, if you look at the way this team's played the last 4 games going into Thursday, this is not the best team that we've seen out of the LA Clippers all season long. I think that we're going to find out a lot about the Clippers, how they're going to approach that Phoenix game by how they play in Sacramento on Thursday night.
Well, to go back to this Clipper team, and I did a video earlier this week with Steven Over where we kind of did a recap of the first half of the NBA season and a preview of the second half. And the Clippers are a team that I think are going to get better as the season goes on. And you alluded to it there. This was a team that changed the look of this team with the signing of CP3. Then he got hurt and missed a few games early on. So think back to last year when Miami had the signings and they had a full normal preseason and everything in off-season to get everything ready for the regular season. It took that team a month to 2 months to gel before they were, good. This team hasn't gelled yet, in my opinion. I think they're only going to get better, but I think one of the reasons that they haven't been covering the spreads is because of all of the hype. There's been a tariff put on this team with the hype, just like
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're not covering. But in this game, I think we're going to see a number where we're not going to be dealing with that. This is going to be just a little bit beyond pick the winner. We're looking at projecting a line of 3. I got the Clippers in this game winning by 5, so that opening number is going to be crucial to me, whether I'm going to make a play or not. I need to see 3.5 or less. 3.5 is about as high as I go in this game. If they pump this up, if Phoenix plays very poorly on Wednesday night or Thursday night before this game, they should say, or the Clippers have a very good game and that line is a little bit offset, I'm going to be out of it. I won't be playing it. But I think this Clipper team is going to be a team that's going to mature as the season goes on. They're going to get more comfortable with one another. And let's not forget, this is a Clipper team. At least the Miami Heat last year, they were already a winning team.
Right.
They became a better team. It's been a long time since there's been any excitement about a basketball team in L.A. that wasn't the Lakers. Let me tell you. I mean,
well, Chris Kaman didn't. I don't know. I mean, I always thought, for a long time when Elgin Baylor was calling the shots and some of the draft picks he made, and Benoit Benjamin and all that kind of. I thought maybe Baylor had some photos on the ownership because I mean, there were some pretty bad basketball moves being made by guys who played the game and were very good at it and were smart on the floor. So you're absolutely right. One thing that about the Suns, you mentioned. They're kind of a fondue right now as we head into Thursday's game because you could dip in, but you don't quite know what you're going to get out over the next few days because you've got Steve Nash and the possible trade coming up in the next 10 days or so before the deadline. You've got Alvin Gentry, who's likely to be gone as soon as this season is over with. The way he's tried to adjust to what D'Antoni used to do has just not worked for the Phoenix Suns. They've got to play on Thursday night against Kevin Love. That's going to be a possible fatiguing type of battle, if that's a word, when they play Kevin Love and have to try to get him off the glass and off the blocks, and then have to turn around and play Blake Griffin, who's tough to deal with in the paint, not to mention watching Chris Paul outside.
Do they have anybody that can really stop Blake Griffin inside?
Yeah, they really don't, and it's a scary situation because it is Thursday night, by the way, will be their first game since the All-Star break. They've had like 8 days off. So you don't think they'll be physically fatigued for the Clippers on Friday night, although it's a back-to-back game, but they could be just emotionally shot. If they have a rough game against Minnesota and they end up losing that contest, and with all the talk going on about how they're going to blow this team up, it just could be one of those games where they just come in and just really put up a clunker.
The fact that they do play back-to-back nights like that, they will be rested. Like you said, they didn't play since the All-Star break, but it's almost a benefit for them because I think there would be some rust not playing as long as they did. Not playing from before the All-Star break to Thursday. That's the longest that any team has had, this year rest-wise off the break. So, but if that game does get a little, if they're a little rusty coming out of the gate and they fall behind early and that game gets a little bit ugly in the third quarter, we've seen coaches this year when they play these back-to-back games, they'll just, they'll give up on that game rather than trying to spend all that energy coming back from a 15, 20-point deficit and be even more rested for the Clippers on Friday. But I just think, personnel-wise, I think the Clippers got too much talent for Phoenix. And, the Clippers coming off that ugly game for them to start the second half of the season. That wasn't a good game on Tuesday night against Minnesota. So I like the Clippers here. And, again, a lot of it's going to depend on what happens with the Thursday games and see how these teams fare on Thursday night. Nobody gets hurt.
I lean with you, by the way. If I could lay less than 4 or less, then I'll jump on the side of the Clippers in all likelihood, at least as an opinion, for the show, and maybe even a play by the time that comes around. But like you said, we got to see what happens Thursday night.
Right. It makes it tough because we got two factors to add in when you're doing the handicap. Vegas likes to, makes you pay a premium when a team plays back-to-back nights. Well, they're both playing back-to-back nights, but it's still an advantage for Phoenix because they're not changing cities. They're staying at home, and this will be the Clippers' third game in 4 nights.
Right.
So, the advantages are all there for Phoenix scheduling-wise. I just don't think they got the personnel, even with all those advantages.
Nash needs a couple of stars around him at this point of his career, and the only stars in Phoenix are, at night when you look up in the sky because there ain't no stars on this basketball team right now other than Steve Nash, and he's not playing anywhere near what he used to, at the level of what he used to.
Well, there you have it. Both of us, Scott and I, we've got weak vote for the Clippers. Going to be key to the line. We both have them winning, but we don't want to lay too much there. Looking for a line of 3 to 4 points would make us happy to take the Clippers, but not much more than that. You can carry on the conversation at pregamevideos.com. Scott, myself will stop by, answer any questions you might have. All of the guys, don't forget, you'll check out, this is going to end the videos for me and Scott this week, but Brian Leonard, Vegas Runner, they're going to be in the studios Thursday afternoon taping videos for Saturday and Sunday. So always check out all of the videos at pregame.tv. We keep you covered all week long, and next week, conference tournaments start. We'll have action Every
They've
day.
already started. But
Well,
we'll get the meat of them, right?
The meat of them
next week, yeah.
The ones that matter. These little
Exactly.
first ones, you got home games and conference store. That doesn't count. We'll be back next week covering it all. And then, of course, the following week, March Madness, and that's what everybody waits for. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.